Hello and welcome to Comic Book Herald's Road to the War of the Realms, Marvel's 2019 event written by Jason Aaron with art by Russell Dauterman and colorist Matt Wilson, and of course a gajillion other creative collaborators through the gajillion other tie-ins that will be happening as War of the Realms takes off again in April 2019 and carries on through the majority of the summer. A quick spoiler warning for this episode: I will be talking about things that have happened in Thor and in the Marvel Universe leading up to War of the Realms. If you don't want to know really any of kind of how we got here without enjoying it for yourself, then I would recommend you go to Comic Book Herald and check out either the War of the Realms reading order, which I'll have a link to in the description here, or check out the Thor reading order, which will have basically most of what you need and most of what I'm going to talk about here. Otherwise, let's get into it. Jason Aaron, the writer, who's done a lot of great work across both Marvel and Vertigo with series like Scalped, he kicked off his Thor run in 2012 with a series called Thor: God of Thunder. This was the Marvel Now era of Marvel Comics. He did it with primarily artist Esad Ribic, and Thor: God of Thunder is an instant classic. I think runs for 25 issues. It's fantastic, and really it sets the stage for everything that is to come. So if you're kind of wondering, do I need to read all the way back? What parts of Thor do I need to read? Honestly, the entire Aaron run is prologue to War of the Realms, and not only that, but it's really good. It's a highly recommended read regardless of the impact it's going to have on this event. So I would recommend that you check it out just if you like Thor comics, period. And if you're not sure if you like Thor comics, Thor: God of Thunder is a great place to start. So this builds to an event in 2014 that Jason Aaron wrote called Original Sin. And one of the biggest outcomes of this event, and this is a semi-spoiler for Original Sin, so again, check it out if I got a whole reading order on CBH if you want to check it out, is it gives us the unworthy Thor. So probably the biggest outcome of this event is, and it's got Jason Aaron writing it, is Thor, Nick Fury, aka the Watcher at this point, whispers in his ear a secret that ultimately leads Thor to believe that he is unworthy. And this is something that has continued through to present day. So that's going to lead into the longest stretch of the entire run, and that's Jane Foster as the new Thor. Now again, like talking spoilery, this is kind of a secret, and double quotes around secret there. For Marvel, they don't actually reveal who Thor is. It could have been Sif, it could have been Lady Freyja. There were options, but no, it's Jane Foster, the former paramour, love interest of Thor's alter ego in his debut in Marvel Comics back in the Silver Age as Dr. Don Blake. Jane Foster there is a nurse. She has since had on and off romantic inklings with Thor himself. She is, of course, in the MCU version, is the romantic interest of Thor through the first two lesser critically acclaimed Marvel movies. So Jane Foster takes over as Thor, and essentially this leads into the longest and most interesting stretch of the run. It goes from 2014 to about 2018, and throughout this role, Jane has to prove herself to Odin, to Asgard, to Loki, to the Avengers, to everyone that she is in fact Thor. And let's face it, she has to prove it to fandom as well, right? There has been the male Odin's son, as he becomes known here, Thor, since 1963 in Journey into Mystery. And now Jane Foster becoming the Thor. She's not Lady Thor, she's not sister of Thor, she's not Thor's girlfriend, she's just Thor. And this is an important distinction, and Jane really has to prove herself. And it's an interesting dynamic. You also have the actual alter ego Jane Foster fighting cancer as she is Thor, and basically turning into the goddess of thunder, essentially mitigates the effects of chemotherapy on her cancer treatment. So you have that dynamic going on in the alter ego. And really this run is where Jason Aaron's still writing, right? He's the writer throughout all of this. But this is where you have Russell Dauterman and Matt Wilson come on as an artistic team. And as artistic collaborators, they've done some of the absolute most interesting, special, work that, frankly, I have seen in Marvel Comics this decade. It really makes the book stand out in a way that honestly it wouldn't if it had just been Aaron writing with a more standard, maybe kind of house style artistic collaborator. Dowderman and Wilson transformed the Foster era into something that I truly look back and say this is going to go down as one of the most memorable arcs in Thor history. So it's not a part of the run, but you also have Jane during this period fighting alongside the Avengers. She's in the a Mark Waid run with artist Mike Del Mundo, and she also makes appearances throughout the Marvel Universe in things like perhaps the Rage of Ultron graphic novel. So she's around. She's got her Marvel Universe connections, and all this is happening during the all new, all different Marvel time period, transitioning into the short-lived Marvel Legacy era of Marvel. So again, as far as time frames go, this is essentially 2014 through 2018, and it all builds to most recently the death of Thor and a Mangog arc. So you have the Mangog. He is this he has the harness the hate of a billion beings, and he essentially comes for the destruction of Asgard, and ultimately what is titled the death of Thor, which brings us to the 2018 return of Man-Thor, aka the Odin Son, and this is with Jason Aaron and Mike Del Mundo, and this is the run, again, starts, I believe, May 2018, it carries through to present day, and this one is going to lead directly into 2019 April War of the Realms, and also is going to tie in, so it's going to continue through War of the Realms and have some of the most crucial tie-ins for that series. Again, I highly recommend you go over to comicbookherald.com and check out both the War of the Realms reading order and the Thor reading order to see all the specifics of those comics that you can read, all of which, with the exception of the newest of the new Thor issues, are available on a service like Marvel Unlimited. So I do want to talk a little bit about what is War of the Realms. So that's kind of the arc of Thor, but basically what's happening through all of this, and it really takes off, it kind of starts at the very end of the God of Thunder arc, and it really takes off during the Jane Foster era. And what Aaron begins to establish is talking about the 10 realms. So this is something that even the MCU has played with, the fact that there are multiple realms, and the idea being there's Asgard, and there's Midgard, aka Earth, and that these are 2 of the realms, but there's also these 8 other realms that have inhabitants, like dwarves and elves and demons and fire creatures, and kind of these high fantasy Lord of the Rings style, Tolkien-esque characters all inhabit different spaces in the realms. And essentially at the head of all of the scheming as to the destruction and the sort of collusion and collaboration of these realms, you have Malekith, the Dark Elf. He's a longtime Thor villain. I think of him being most interesting in the Walt Simonson run of the 1980s, which is my personal favorite and my personal pick for best Thor run of all time. Jason Aaron is making a run at it, which is wild. I don't think he's going to top it, but the fact that it's even a discussion speaks very highly to the work Aaron has done this decade on the character. But anyway, you have Malekith. Basically, he's trying to destroy these realms. He is trying to make allies with, at realms like Muspelheim, where Surtur, the fire demon, is from, and his offspring come into this. So as far as like the different realms go, I can't name all of them. 10 off the top of my head, but again, you have Asgard, Midgard, you have places like Svartalheim, you have Niflheim, you have the land of the frost giants, right? So you get all these Thor characters. You have Muspelheim, you have fake Nameheim. I think Hel, Hel, is a realm as well, which I may even also double as one of the Heims. But again, if you look it up, you can find all these. But there's 10 realms, and they are all basically, as we come into War of the Realms, they've all been messed with to the point that everything's going to come crashing down onto Midgard and Earth, where the Avengers and Marvel superheroes are going to have to deal with things. So that kind of ties into Jason Aaron's also been writing Avengers since the start of 2018. He's been planting seeds here and there throughout that run. It's definitely a less integrated tie-in than Thor directly, but you do have some ideas here like Odin as a BC Avenger, and you also have Odin sort of operating as a consultant almost to Black Panther, who's leading the Avengers during this time. So if you like War of the Realms a lot, it's not I don't think essential necessarily. But or if you like the Jason Aaron a lot too, like definitely check out Avengers as part of this as well, because there are going to be hints and seeds of things that happen that I think are going to drive to this War of the Realms event as well. The other thing I would call out here, and I don't know that this will definitely be a part of the War of the Realms saga, but throughout the Aaron run on Thor, there have been these future timelines. And essentially, he's established this future where Thor is the All-Father, it's old man Thor, essentially. And this happens, like, right at the start of God of Thunder. It's part of what makes that series so cool, is there's, like, timelines and focuses on young Thor. So when he's, like, early days of Vikings, and then you have sort of modern-day Thor, and then you have old Thor. And this is, he's got the eye patch, he's the leader of Asgard, and he's the leader of, like, a totally destroyed Asgard. With three, I believe, granddaughters who all wield powers of their own, who are very, very cool characters. But these future timelines are fascinating, and they're really, really fun. You get some insanely wild stuff, like Wolverine is the Phoenix, and Doctor Doom has made an appearance recently, and a future guise that I hesitate to even dive into too deep. Galactus makes appearances. Ego the Living Planet is around, and so you get all this really cool future stuff that I hope plays into War of the Realms, but we'll have to wait and see. So again, like if you're up to speed with Thor, as it's continued, this stuff won't feel weird and out of place to you. But if you're not, it might be kind of bizarre. And maybe I'll have to do a separate explaining the future Thor series as well. So long story short, this is an awesome run. I highly recommend everybody check it out. Again, like you go God of Thunder into the Jane Foster era of Thor, and then you go into the 2018 Thor. And really kind of the separator between God of Thunder and Jane Foster would be like the last issue of Original Sin, and then a series called Unworthy Thor that is 5 issues of Thor, that actually kicks off after the Jane Foster era has started, but it's 5 issues of Thor in his unworthy self, kind of trying to he's trying to get Mjolnir back. He's trying to get his hammer back, and he's trying to figure things out as this new role that he's taken on, where he's not, the God of Thunder that we used to know. And that's kind of where he is even in the current day series, in the 2018 series. He's got like a little bit of Mjolnir. He's got like a little rock of it. That's all he can carry. So it's like he's still, partially worthy, but nowhere near worthy enough to wield the hammer. And that's an interesting place to put the character in. And again, I highly recommend you check out the entire run if you haven't already. If you have and you're excited about War of the Realms, me too. It's the most excited I've been about a Marvel event since 2015 Secret Wars, honestly. And I think a big part of that is because it is a clear culmination of events and good comics that have been building in Marvel since 2012. This isn't an out of the blue event. It's building off of something. It's the same creative collaborators who've been working on that series very closely. So I have high hopes.